I want to say the first time I started doing live Gundam builds was in 2023. And now that I build enough kits, I can finally do this video letting you know, out of all the kits I built on streams, what was the worst and what was the best. Now, I do want to lay out a few ground rules. Understand when I do this, it's not really based on the look of the kit, because pretty much every kit that I get is one that I like to look up. I never really just buy a kit just to buy a kit. Every kit that I've ever built on stream are kits that I like their design and I want to keep. So this list is actually going to be based more on the quality of the build. So like, for example, articulation, does it fall apart or not, things like that. So the better the kit, the higher I'm going to rank it, and the worse, the lower I'm going to rank it. Now, there is some gray area in this list. Even I look at the list, I put it up, and I'm like, there's some argument here. But for the most part, it's going to be from the worst to the best. So, looking at my list, I have about 16 kits listed. So I'm going to go through 16 all the way to 1. And I'm going to let you know the worst kit all the way to the best kit and why. And I do own more kits than the ones I'm going to be talking about in this video, but I'm only going to keep this video with the kits I have built on a live stream. So beyond that, let's get started with number 16. Number 16 has to be one of the worst kits that I own. And to me, this kit is built like a Lego. And that is the Gundam Delta Kai. As amazing as it looks, if you keep it in the flight mode, it's perfect. But if you put it in the actual Gundam mode, terrible. Now, one thing that's going to knock most of these kits down in the list is their ability to hold their main weapon. And automatically, Delta Kai cannot handle the weight of its own weapon. Secondly, the thing falls apart all over the place. And third, it feels old and it feels cheap. Even though it looks amazing, probably one of the worst kits that I own. And I would love for this thing to be redesigned, because I do like the design of this kit, but it's by far one of the worst Gundam kits that I've owned or I've ever built. Number 15. I actually got to look at my notes because I don't remember it off the top of my head. And that is the Load Astray. And this one, and I think I said it in the live stream, was probably one of the worst kits I think I've ever built. Number one, it takes work for the kit itself to hold up its own main weapon, which is the sword. The whip is kind of nervous trying to pose it, and I don't know how far I could go with it. That's another issue with it. Okay, I take that back. I won't say that's an issue, but that's just more of a fear, so I won't knock it for that. But with other kits that have whips, I think they do their whips a lot better than this one. Parts come loose on this thing all over the place. The head fin, yeah, that's one thing I do remember. The head fin will never stay on. That's the one thing that always keeps popping off. And it doesn't make any sense because that head fin is really big. So the fact that that pops off, that's a major failure. The legs, which I wrote here, and again, I should probably pick up the kit and check it out, but from the notes I have, the legs do not feel tight. And the last thing I would say is that I wish the neck was shorter. I do feel like the head is kind of up too high. I wish it was down a little bit shorter. So that's my issue with the Load Astray. I hate that it's this low because it looks amazing, but the build quality, there's a lot of issues with it. And like I said on the live stream when I built it, it's probably one of the worst kits that I've built so far, which sucks. And I want to quickly clarify that that only pertains to the kits I built on live stream. So Delta Kai and Load are not the worst kits I ever built, just the worst on stream. I don't even need my notes for this one. Number 14 is the AZ Gundam. And for one big failure, and that is the waist. The waist will not stay together to save its life. Every time I pick this one up for too long, it falls apart every single time. The waist is a major point of failure. You could probably tighten it. I know there's ways to do it. I'm not sure how to do it. Maybe somebody in the comments can tell you how to do it, but oh, that waist is horrible. Just out the box and just building it. No, that waist is trash. Number 13 has to be the Wing Gundam. And that's because the Wing Gundam has a couple of issues. Now, this first one, I may not knock it for it, but I don't like this design choice, which I call the Wing Standard. Which basically, I like to say, party on top, sadness at the bottom. Because the top of the kit looks great, but when you look at the bottom, it looks terrible. Like, there's not really a full transformation. It's just the kit itself, just putting stuff on top. And as long as you don't look underneath, it looks amazing. So I've always hated that Wing Standard of the flight mode. I've always hated that standard, but again, it's not really a knock. It's a design choice. I don't like it. I'll just say this real quick and I'll move forward. Best transforming Gundam that I've seen so far has to be, well, I should say the best transforming standard is the Zeta Gundam. Zeta Gundam has the best transforming standard. I wish more kids held that standard. Now, for the rest of my issues with Wing Gundam, the fist, the back of the fist tends to pop off. The yellow shoulders, I can't remember if it's both of them or one of them, but the yellow part on the shoulder, that pops off and it doesn't stay on very well. The vents, I should say one of the vents on the Wing Gundam always comes off. And the yellow V-fin always keeps coming off. So that's kind of issues with the Wing Gundam. Outside of that, it works pretty well. I haven't had any other issues. But yeah, with the parts that keep popping off, yeah, Wing Gundam absolutely deserves to be this low. Even though it is for the most part pretty solid. But those little parts that pop off, yeah, I have to knock it down. Number 12 is, it's actually a very solid kit. And it's actually one of my favorite designs. And that is the 7th Gundam. The 7th Gundam is an amazing kit. Looks amazing. But the reason why it's this low is because it feels old. It's hard to explain. You got to get it in your hands. But it feels like an older kit. And that's really the issue. Even though it's solid, even though it can stand on its own and has no issues, it really does feel old. And that's why it's this low. Not because it's not a solid kit. It just feels like an old kit. Number 11 hurts my soul. Being the unofficial mascot for the channel, I wish I didn't have this one major point of failure, but that is the Gundam Geminas. Geminas, for the most part, is a great Gundam kit. But the one issue I found, and I don't know if it's for everybody, but for mine, is the left forearm. And the problem is the right forearm doesn't have that issue, but the left forearm is terrible. It easily comes off. It feels really weak. I don't even think it could hold weight from my memory. But yeah, if it wasn't for the left forearm, this would probably be one of my top rated kits because it is built pretty good, but that left forearm is built terrible. Number 10 on this list. Okay, let's see if I could say this. Gundam Astaroth Resettlement. Okay, you know what? Forget it's on the screen. If you have been on this channel for any length of time, you know I have an issue with pronunciation. I have an issue with pronunciation. You know that? So instead, I'll leave the name of this kit on the screen. There you go. Either way, this kit is actually solid for the most part, but it has a major point of failure. One of the things I will always dock on any kit that I build is the ability to hold its main weapon, and the fact that this one cannot hold its main weapon. Automatic dock. Terrible. So I was kind of torn between number 9 and number 8, but I decided to keep this kit at number 9 only because the list of issues are a lot longer than number 8. And number 9 is the Gundam LO Booster. Let me start off by getting this out the way. It falls under the wing standard of transformations. You know I hate that. And I've heard online that a lot of people didn't like this, but I do like the feature that the legs can fold up and make claws. I think that's a pretty cool thing that they added. I think it makes the kit look pretty cool, at least for me. I shouldn't say cool, I should say different. It gives it a different vibe. So I do like that transformation, but again, it falls in the wing standard, and you know I don't really like the wing standard transformations. Now, with that being said, one of the first things I'm going to point out is standing. Standing, it can be a struggle to make it stand. A lot of it is due to how the feet are because of the transformation, and it's back heavy. So these are really two issues. Oh, and the other thing is when you transform the legs, when they get hollowed out, they do kind of feel, at least to me, they kind of felt older. Like I didn't like how it felt. And lastly, I was about to say something else. Lastly, articulation on this kit is not that good. But beyond that, it is a solid kit. I do love the design of this kit. I love the beam effects. The beam effects are cool as heck. This kit is actually a pretty good kit, but it definitely has its issues. But for me, I'm glad I got it. I'm glad it's part of my collection. So I'm just going to let you know right here, at this point, the numbering is going to be totally off, and that's only because I added this kit in later because I forgot to add it in when I was recording, and I don't feel like re-editing everything just for this one kit. So what I'm going to do is in the description, I'm going to put the proper numbering for each kit. I'm not going to name them off, but I will put the proper numbering so you know how many kits I go over. But I forgot to add this kit in, and I actually did build this kit on a live stream. That's why I had to put this one in here. And the Gundam I'm talking about is the Sword Impulse Gundam Real Grade. It does suck its P Bondi, but this is by far one of the best kits I've ever built. And it's actually one of my favorites. Funny thing is, and I think I said this earlier, I'm not even a big fan of the Impulse Gundam. I don't know why. I just never really liked that kit, but I love the Sword Impulse Gundam. Like, it's one of my favorite Gundam designs of all time. But when it's in the Impulse colors, I'm not a fan. But when it's the Sword Impulse, I love this thing. It's weird, but that's just what it is. And the Real Grade is even better. This thing is actually pretty good with pulsability. Even having a core fighter, how stable it is when you put it together, it's amazing. This kit is a great Real Grade and really is going to be good in your collection. But there is one issue, and this is a major one. The number one issue with this kit is the right forearm. It tends to be loose. It also easily pops off. And if you don't hold the weapon using that arm in a certain angle, it tends to start drooping really bad. It's really, really loose. If it wasn't for that one issue, this kit would probably be, I would say, in the top 3. But that issue is way too huge to ignore. And it's, again, a major point of failure in this kit. But because of that one issue, it got bumped to this place right here. But outside of it being in P Bondi, I think if y'all add this one to your collection, I'm pretty sure you will be happy because I got this and I'm really, really, really happy with this kit, especially because it's a Real Grade. And the Real Grade is such a huge improvement of the original one. And I could say that because I actually have the high grade version of this. And that's also P Bondi, by the way. But no, the Real Grade Sword Impulse Gundam is amazing, and I 110% recommend it. Such a good kit outside the forearm. But you could probably fix that yourself. There's ways to do it. I'm not really good at it. I never tried it before, but I know there are ways to fix that problem. Number 8, Live Lance Haven. I actually do like this kit. This kit's actually solid, but there's two issues. One, it cannot hold the weapon. It's not that it can't handle the weight, but for some reason when I put it in the hands, if I angle it incorrectly, it tends to kind of lean to the side. Well, it feels like the main weapon, for some reason, it's not designed to hold snug in the hands. It can handle the weight, but it does tend to turn. That's number one. Number two is the active cloak. The active cloak absolutely needed a locking mechanism to keep it closed, and it doesn't have one. So it's very hard to keep it in place, and it tends to flop around. It's solid, there's no issue with it, but it definitely needed something to lock it together. So, yep, that's why it's that high. Out of all the kits I built, number 7 was probably the most shocking because of how good it was. And that is Gundam Dandelion. Gundam Dandelion looks like, well, it basically is a skeleton kit. That's really what it is. But I didn't have any issues with this kit whatsoever. Now, the one major issue I did have was the backpack, because you actually need a stand because that thing is heavy, but it accounted for it, so I'm not really gonna knock it for how heavy the backpack is because it is really big. But when you get it in its arms, let me make sure I get the mode right. When you get it in the half crowd T mode, it's actually solid. There's no issue with it. The arms feel good. It doesn't feel, it's good. It's a really good kit. The only reason why it's at 7 is just that you need the stand to hold the backpack, but it's not really a knock. And the problem is that the stand to me isn't really that great because it's really thin and skinny. So yeah, it can be kind of tricky to get the stand to stand right on certain surfaces, but outside of that, this one was surprisingly a really good kit. It's a really solid kit. I don't know if everybody will like this kit, but I think if you do decide to get this kit, I think you're going to be shocked on how good and stable it is. Number 6 on this list is Gundam MK2, and simply because it's actually a solid kit. It's just the articulation isn't the best, but it is a good kit. Like, I'll be honest, I like it. If you just want a really cool, solid kit, you want to get the MK2. It's a really good Gundam to get your hands on. I like it. I'm happy with it. Yeah, it's a really good kit. Number 5 is probably one of my favorite Gundams to pose, and that is the Gundam Build. The Gundam Build is an amazing Gundam. If you're into posing your Gundam, you want to get the Gundam Build. I don't have any issue with it. It's a very solid kit. But there is one issue, and that is simply the stickers, particularly on the V-fin. The stickers on the V-fin are trash. It is the worst and so cheap looking. I hate the stickers. That is the one reason why this kit is not higher. If it wasn't for the stickers, I can honestly say that this kit would probably be in the top 3 easily. But yeah, those stickers on the V-fin in particular are terrible. So stickers is what hold this kit back. But outside of that, if you want a cool kit that's great with posing, get the Gundam Build. I think anybody will be happy with that kit. Number 4, and this is the second to last Gundam that I built this year, and that is the Gundam G4. Funny, right? Number 4 is the G4. And honestly, it's a good kit. The one issue I would say I have is the little, what's it called? Basically, it's like the hose for the weapon. It can kind of get in the way when you're trying to pose things. Also, outside of that electrical hose that can get in the way when you're trying to pose, I would say the only other issue really is that it's a P Bondi. So with P Bondi, you're paying that premium price, and if you want to get it at a reasonable price, hopefully you gotta wait for it to get back in stock. Good luck. I would say my last issue is the stickers on the shield. I don't know why they couldn't just add like a plastic part, but Basically, got to use stickers on the shield, and that's probably the other thing I really don't like about it. Beyond those issues, which I was reaching for those problems, this kit is actually a really great kit. It's actually worth buying. Of course, P-Bond is the only issue, but it is a really good kit. It's very solid. I haven't had any problems. Again, I can't speak too much on the articulation, but I know with the poses that I wanted to do, I was able to do them, so I would say this is a great kit. Number 3 was originally number 4 on this list, but it got bumped up for one reason. I'll get to that in a second. But number 3 is the Gundam Death Sight. I actually do like this kit, but there are a couple of issues. One, the stickers, particularly, my fault, it's not even the stickers, it's one sticker, and that is the red sticker. I hate that red sticker. It looks bad. The part that is used to store the main weapon, which is the scythe on the back, is terrible when it's in like the storage mode. That part is terrible because it's hollowed out. So basically, it looks good from the back, terrible from the front. That was horrible. I don't know why you couldn't add another part that you could just stick on front. But yes, I hate that. That crap looks terrible. And the other issue that you may find is articulation. The ankle bend is not really that good, and the arm can't really raise as high as you would like to. But outside of that, the one thing that makes this kit amazing, why this got bumped up to number 3, is the locking mechanism on the knees. That is one of the most incredible things that they added to this kit, and I love it. I love the fact that you could lock the legs in place. And that is the only reason why this kit became number 3. It's only because it has a locking mechanism in the knees. That is incredible. And I hope they do that with plenty more kits. Great addition to any kit. Number 2 would be number 1. This is another one that I flipped around, and I'll explain to you why once I get to it. But number 2 has to be the Gundam Epion Real Grade. Simply put, amazing. The color is amazing. The kit is amazing. The transformation, it is such a good kit. I could tell Bandai totally worked on the Real Grade line, and oh, it's so much better. The Epion was one of the first Real Grades I built that I enjoyed. I haven't built too many Real Grades, but this is one of the best, most solid, great looking Real Grades that you could get your hands on. Yes, it has the wing transforming standard, so do not look at it from the bottom. But outside of that, the improvements, oh, the dragon heads on the feet in transformation mode, it looks amazing. Listen, if there's one kit I could recommend you, there's a lot of kits I would recommend that I own, and I will definitely probably do a video like that later. But if I do that video, this absolutely is on the list. Gundam Epion, Real Grade, my fault, Real Grade. You need to cop that one. It is amazing. I can't even remember what issues I had with it because I didn't have any. It is, I mean, maybe just how long it takes to build, and maybe that it takes a while to maybe get the parts set up, but beyond that, God, I love the Real Grade Epion gun. Oh, and I want to say that you also got to be careful with building it because there are some parts, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I do remember there's like 1 or 2 parts in there that you can easily break if you're not careful. But still, amazing kit. I have nothing bad to say. This is one of the few kits that I built that I just totally fell in love with. I've been waiting for a re-release of an Epion kit for the longest time, and they made this one, and I'm just, wow. It is honestly a work of art. Epion Real Grade, I don't have anything else to say, but yes, it's worth getting. It takes time, but oh, when it's done, it is worth it. I love the Epion Gundam. Real Grade, my fault. Real Grade Epion Gundam. So before we get to number 1, I just want to let y'all know that I do Gundam live monthly builds every month, once a month, and y'all are able to vote for the next Gundam that I build for that month. And actually, I should start saying mobile suits, because starting this year, I won't tell you when, but I am probably going to start expanding kits that I build outside of Gundams. But that's only if you vote for them. Now, what you can expect on those streams is I sit down, I build Gundams, I talk to y'all through chat poll, and we react to different videos during that stream. Heck, sometimes we may even get call-ins. So make sure to check out those streams, because I think y'all will enjoy it. Now, the last thing I would like to let y'all know, if you would like to vote for the next kit that I build for this month or any other month, make sure to go to YouTube, go to that community tab, and go ahead and vote for the next Gundam kit that you would like me to build on the next live Gundam build stream. And make sure to like and subscribe. Do me that favor. But now, for my number 1 build, and one of the best Gundams I've ever built on this channel, actually is the gold standard. Technically Epion, but it beats Epion because of one reason. And that is the Wing Gundam real grade version. Because I think there's another, yeah, there is, because I own it. There is actually another version of Wing Gundam that's a real grade. But I'm talking about the Wing Gundam RG TV version. Or would this be called the regular version? And then the other one I'm talking about is the EW version. So this would just be the regular Wing Gundam. Either way, that kit is definitely amazing. It looks good. It looks amazing. Of course, and yes, I don't like the Wing standard when it comes to transformation. And I know a lot of people complain about this mode, but I guess I'm the only one that likes this mode. But I like the alternate bird mode for the Wing Gundam. I like that it's different. It brings something new to it. Honestly, I normally don't like the Wing Gundam transformation mode. And it's not knocking the kit. It's just a preference thing. But this one, to me, is the best way you can handle the Wings transformation. I love it. And to make me love this kind of transformation, this means to me you're a great kit. I love the wing separation, although it can be a little tough to separate at times. And it almost feels like I'm about to break it sometimes. But, oh, the wing separation on this kit, I love what they did with the wings. Now, I didn't fully push the articulation, so I really don't know how good the articulation is, even though I could easily go to my display case and get it and check it for myself. But I'm not going to do that because where that kit's at, if I take that kit out, it's going to cause a chain reaction, and a lot of other kits are going to start falling out, and I don't feel like dealing with that right now. But from what I can remember, this kit doesn't have the best articulation, but it's definitely good. You could probably get the poses that you want. Oh, I forgot. You know my favorite thing in kits? When they have locking mechanisms in their legs. This one has a locking mechanism. It's mainly for the transformation. Don't care. Love locking mechanism. That gives you bonus point. I love locking mechanisms. Now, if you want more information on articulation, I recommend you go check out other channels. There are plenty of other channels on YouTube that do a better job at articulation than I will in this video. So make sure to go check those out. I love the redesign and I love the look of this real grade. It just looks amazing. But let me tell you the number one reason why this is my favorite kit I've ever built of all time. Now, I forgot when it happened, but at one point in time when I was moving this kit around, I wound up dropping it. And if any of y'all have ever dropped a kit, you know when you drop them, they go all over the place. I dropped the Wing Gundam from a pretty good height, and it was on carpet, but I dropped it, I picked it up, and it was fully intact, and I was shocked. In all my times building Gundam kits, I have never experienced, especially when it's a real grade, dropping a kit and it still stays intact and the pieces don't go flying all over the place. That one thing put this kit #1 on my list. That was incredible. That tells you this kit was well designed. That's one of the 2 main reasons why this is my favorite kit. One, I dropped it and it stayed intact. And secondly, this kit made me love a wing transformation, and I usually hate wing transformations. And to clarify, this is my favorite kit I've ever built on a live stream. And I only had to clarify because the kits that you saw in these videos aren't the only kits I've ever built. And maybe in the future, I may do a future video ranking all the kits I've ever built and I've ever owned. That might be an interesting one. So there you go. Those are my top 16 kits that I built so far. And I will be doing this video next year, but I probably won't do no more than 10, at the most 12. The only way I'll do more than 12 will probably be if I do that high new Gundam marathon, which again, that's not going to happen until I hit a certain milestone. But I hope that this video gives you some good ideas on what kits to buy for next year. These are my favorites. And down below, if you have built kits, let me know what your favorites are. Just some things of note. This video was actually recorded last year. So when I say next year at certain times, I mean this year as a recording of this part. Also, if you read the description, you know, but I'll just address it here, that I know I said 16, but I actually meant 17 kits. And that's because I added the Sword Impulse Gundam later because it was supposed to be added in earlier, but I forgot. That's why if you check the description down below, you can see the proper number. Anyways, that's all I want to add. So y'all have a good one.